do an impromptu live about my favorite kind of flower. Gosh, it's really hard to say my favorite kind of flower, really. This would be my favorite if I had to pick one for like ease of growth. As I put in the title, ease of saving the seeds. And I sat down to harvest some seeds from some. And I thought I would show you because I just find this to be super interesting. And I actually wrote down some facts to help people because, in my opinion, now's the time to start planting your garden. And of course, if you don't, you know, like to buy seeds off the internet, I completely understand that because seeds can be expensive. Like the shipping of seed, you have to invest a lot of money into your seed just to get them for free when it comes to a lot of places online. I buy seeds from all sorts of places, and this is what they look like in the seed packets from stores. In my opinion, these are the easiest to grow, especially for any novice gardener. They started as a wildflower in Mexico, so they thrive off of poor soils. Like you don't want to fertilize them. You don't want to overwater either. But that's one thing that makes them so great. They just flourish in so many conditions. Like you can put these in crappy soil. It is recommended, they are prone to powdery mildew and a certain pest. I haven't really had a pest problem, excuse me, with them in like three different places. But the powdery mildew always seems to be a problem, no matter how good I think I am with the aeration. But a lot of people say just aeration is fine. Milk, actually, some watered down milk in sunlight. The sun has to be out. Takes care of powdery mildew, or it has for me. I'm kind of lazy about it. I'll just like cut it down. Once it's in your soil kind of thing. So I really should be more proactive, but it just sucks. Like when you have powdery mildew, you want to throw it out in the trash. You don't want to compost with it. You're just going to be spreading it around more. But like zinnias, that's their only fault that I have found. Hey, Mr. Carey, my Wi-Fi is cut off on cell phone data, so I have trouble with keeping up to current live and response time. Oh, Mr. Carey, thank you so much. You're fine. Talking about what I think is the easiest to grow flower, especially for beginners. These seeds are so easy to find. See how this says like giant double there's like over 100 different kinds, and this is what I found with all flower varieties. Even when they say dwarf, a lot of dwarf varieties, in my opinion, they're not really dwarf. They may be a little bit smaller, but they're not quite dwarf. You have to plant if you want a smaller flower. If you want them to be dwarf, you just plant them closer together. But like I said, with zinnias, they're prone to powdery mildew, and the best way to solve that or combat that from the start is to give them a lot of space. You don't have to. They'll Saw one lady say, "You get mostly fluffy, the double petals." I don't mind the single petals. I like the variation. Most people are striving for these ruffly petals, but they can come in just a single petal. And I wanted to show you guys like the difference. Once again, I just think this is neat. These dried in the vase. And this is one thing I like about zinnias and one thing that makes saving seeds so easy. And this is true with other flowers. I think cosmos is one. But many flowers are not like this, where like you can harvest the fresh flower off the plant and then save the seed after it dries up. A lot of flowers aren't like that. They have to dry on the plant in order for you to save the seed. I don't know the scientific term for that. I'm sure there is one. I'm sorry. I don't know exactly. Like I said, I know I've done that with cosmos before, where I was like surprised. The seed was immature and green, and then it turned into a black seed. If you know what cosmos seeds are, like little commas. So this is one. These are dried zinnias I picked off the plant, already dried. And like I just said, you can pick them off the plant dried like this, or you can dry them inside yourself. I just, had these in a vase and then I poured the water out, cut the stems because, the stems were gross and soggy. Um, Now that I look, these stems are much healthier, like actually I might not even say the seeds from these because it does look like I need to take those out. But like I said, I cut the ends of the stems off that were in the water in order to avoid mildew or powder. You don't want to save seeds from powdery mildew. That was another thing. I saw it coming on and I was like, okay, this is gonna be plenty of seeds. And they do cross-pollinate, meaning like you're not, unless you really control it, you will get whatever colors. You're not gonna be able to get the exact colors as what you grew unless you grow one kind. Even then there could be something close nearby that could cross-pollinate. But anyways, super, I can't stress enough how easy these are to grow, how beautiful they are. They're like little dahlias. If you don't know what dahlias are, they're like I've grown dahlias a lot before. I don't grow them currently. They don't really thrive in the humidity of South Central Kentucky, and they're almost too big. There is such thing as too big. That same is true for flowers. And it was like, what can you do with a bouquet? where, a dinner plate dahlia is like the size of your face. It's just hard to work with, I found, beautiful in some aspects. I grew dozens and dozens of dahlias. I grew a dwarf variety of dahlia too that wasn't that dwarf. That's where I learned that. I'm like, they just like slap that label on things. You get all excited about it, like, oh, this big plant is like a dwarf variety. And then you put it in a certain situation where it probably will be dwarfed because you're already assuming it's a smaller plant. And so therefore it grows smaller. That's my conspiracy theory on the dwarf varieties when it comes to a lot of things. Thumbelina zinnias, like they're definitely smaller. I've grown Santa Fe zinnias. They're really cute. There are zinnias that are like definitely smaller flower heads. Okay. Even those can get taller than what the packet says though, but they, have taller varieties. One reason I like them so much, there might be other flowers that are just as easy to grow. In my opinion, these are the easiest to grow. Also, easiest to use as a cut flower to get these long enough stems for a cut flower. And like I said, this was harvested off the plant, dried already. I just let them go to seed. The more you cut, the more flowers you will get. If you want the most blooms, you cut as soon as your zinnia plant forms two nodes, you cut it down to the first node when it's like yay high. Pruning is crucial with so many cut and coming in flowers. Like zinnias are just like that on steroids. And if you want to know exactly when they're ready, the stem will be stiff. I'm sorry, I don't have like a better example. There's tons of examples of fresh zinnias on YouTube for this, but it will be stiff. Like you'll wiggle it and you'll see the difference between one that's stiff and one that you wiggle it and it's all floppy. You should not cut that or else it's just going to flop over in the vase. And yeah, I think I said more cutting, stiff stem, water near soil because they're prone to powdery mildew. This one lady on YouTube said to grow them in furrows 9 inches apart and you'll get more ruffly blooms. I'm interested to try that because I've never really seen, I'm always wondering, like, why are some blooms ruffly and why are some not? So I was excited to see that myself. I believe it's Gardenary. I might be wrong about that, but I love her. I'm subscribed to Gardenary. I love her. Don't fertilize or overwater. Of course, when you start the seeds, you want to saturate the soil and keep it moist, but you don't want it too moist. They're one of those. Once again, these come from Mexico. They're like native wildflowers to Mexico. And you might need support for the taller varieties. That's something to keep in mind. Me personally, I've never supported any kind of zinnia I ever grew. I just cut them once they got so tall. Or I have grown some that I let get pretty tall near my mailbox because the mailbox was there to support them. So zinnias and cosmos are so beautiful together. I'm sorry. I should have. I was planning on talking about Cosmos so much. I should show you guys. I'll make another live about Cosmos seeds and flowers. Cosmos, I love, but the flowers don't hardly last. They last like a day in a vase, but they're still worth it to grow for cut flowers for the foliage. Like they're beautiful, whimsical flowers. They're the closest thing, in my opinion, to poppies as far as like the delicate petals and the way that the sun seems to make them pop. So I am done with the facts. I wanted to let you know about zinnias. I can't stress enough. Anybody that's like thinking about planting a garden, anybody that wants to grow something but is intimidated that has a little bit of growing space, I highly recommend starting a little zinnia patch. Look up zinnias. You'll see so many shorts, so many beautiful shorts, beautiful examples. They're just so easy to grow. They're cheap seeds. They're easy, and then they're easy to save the seeds. So like if you have a little patch this year, you don't want to invest in like tons of seeds, especially as a starter, a novice gardener, then you grow a patch and you can save so many seeds. I'll show you guys. This is going to be a little messy. Oh man, my sweetheart is texting me. So usually they're more so on the outside. However, he just said the picture I posted of our dogs looks sad. I did just yell at Rocco. Rocco came and like put his nose like right in my face, like really. I know that sounds mean, but like, keep in mind that dog is always up all the other animals' butts with his nose. I don't want his nose pressing against my face all the time. Okay, so most of the seeds I found are on the outside. However, they can be all throughout. So I just pulled one and it fell. On very outside, like right here, they're on the end of the petals. You see how some are dark? Now this is a zinnia seed. I'm sorry, this little dark triangle. Actually, this is showing up better than I thought it would. These things in between the darks aren't seeds. Like I'm gonna take the other seed out. See how this is like a white, ruffly petal looking thing? That's not a seed. And seeds can have a little bit of variation. You don't realize this. Like, you will know what a zinnia seed looks like once you handle enough of them, but they can even have some variation. I've mistaken some zinnia seeds for cosmos seeds, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever handled both. Like this is kind of very similar to a cosmos. It's not as skinny, but it's like I've mixed them up on accident before. I'm just gonna pluck out a bunch of the petals and show you. See, most of that white ends, those aren't seeds. Like towards the outside more, but like I said, they'll be all throughout the flower. So it really, um, that's I like it. I look at it as my form of meditation when I'm harvesting seeds, when I'm sitting down. Of course, you need to be mindful of your neck. If you have neck issues and back issues, it can be quite a chore. But it's relaxing. It's part of what takes so much time gardening. And I want to talk about gardening more as much as I talk about. See, this is a zinnia seed that's very similar to a cosmos seed, in my opinion. I'll show you Cosmos soon. It's probably my second favorite beginner flower. So many variations. You can grow so many different colors. You can get really fun blends on websites if you don't mind spending the extra money with like, just beautiful colors together. I think in, my banner on my picture, there's Cosmos, there's a torch sunflower, Mexican sunflower, the orange flower. I want to say there's zinnias, but there's Cosmos in the banner if you look at my channel page. Anyways, I like a lot of us went through a lot, especially around, the panini or what have you. And I feel like those difficult times would have been even harder if I didn't have gardening. And like I really do feel for anybody that's like intimidated by it, that wants to do it, especially if you have outdoor space. I can't stress it enough. Like it is worth a try. I used to be so down on myself, not ever having finished college, becoming a young mom, having, an unplanned blessing at the age of 19. I would always compare myself to other women in my age group and all age groups really, and I was like just so down on myself before I started growing and became a steward of nature in this way. And I felt like so much confidence being able to grow art, beauty, and sustenance. Like that is like part of the reason I feel like we're put here. That doesn't mean that I think everybody should be a gardener, but I think that so many people can benefit from it, especially now, especially with the cost of living. And it is an investment to start initially. I understand that. But it's so exciting. To get better and better at it. And I just wish that for more people. And I want to talk more about how it's good for your mental health. I'm not claiming to have had seasonal depression disorder. I was never diagnosed with that. But I just struggled more with the winter time. And I had a friend that was, and like she opened my eyes to it. And I thought like I did not struggle the way that she did, bless her heart. It was my friend who passed that I talk about all the time. But because of her, I learned, how much some people do struggle with the winter months and I was like on the cusp of that. I feel like in having something to look forward to really helps get you through. And you also work so hard outside that you welcome the rest of having to stay inside more because of the temperatures. Where if you are in a temperate climate, I know not everybody experiences the winter. And as somebody that grew up in Indiana and Kentucky, I could not experience the winter. Whenever I spent Christmas in Florida, I cried. I literally cried because of the weather. Like the weather would make me cry. I'd be like, "This isn't Christmas," and I know that's silly. And like people that grew up there, I'm sure they don't feel that way. But I love having the change of seasons. I love being able to, go through all of the changes and then being able to eat seasonally, plan your life accordingly. Like I eat so much summer squash when it's in season, and then I just don't eat it the rest of the year. And I just wonder how many sensitivities, people that have problems digesting food, how much does it play into that we eat the literal same things all year long? Most of us, most of our diet is processed and most of us eat the same things. And I am not like trying to shame anybody at all because when I was like furloughed, I went to food pantries. I got whatever we could eat for free, and I understand that's what a lot of people's situation is right now. So like I want to be I the last thing I want to do is make anybody feel a certain way about the way they eat or feed their family when we're all struggling so much just to survive. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like some of these things people don't realize, like how easy they can be to grow and how much more you get out of it, especially nutritionally. So much of our food at grocery stores, sits on a shelf. Same thing with flowers. Most flowers used to be grown here in our country that we sold, and bought as cut flowers until the commercial air industry really took off and they realized that we can, ship flowers from South America to North America. They're going to be cheaper because these people will do it dirt cheap. And then they're like these exotic tropical like flowers. A lot of them are poisonous to cats. Like if you didn't know that, you're not supposed to sleep in a room with lilies or some kind of lilies. Like there's a lot of cut flowers we use that like just aren't really great to be like keeping necessarily inside. And now the cut flower industry is coming back around. I myself would love to be a flower farmer. It is one of the most profitable cash crops one can grow. I believe the second most profitable crop, right? Like, anyways, and they just bring so much joy. It's undeniable. If you, once again, if you've got outdoor space, if you've got soil, you can grow zinnias. Okay, they thrive in poor conditions. They're like Mexican wildflowers that grow in ditches. I'm sure the original zinnias don't quite look the same as these, but you know what I'm trying to say. That's where they originate from. They don't like being fertilized. Anybody can grow. I grew these along the side of my house. I'll share shorts with you soon. Powdery mildew did overtake it towards the end of the season. Best thing you can do is water the soil. There's so many varieties of flowers that are like that. I just tend to do that across the board. I do believe calendulas are extremely easy to grow and also very delightful, but they aren't easy to grow to the point where you can have long enough stems to put in a vase. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna read some questions. We're going through some stuff this week. Like our schedule has changed radically just for a week. So my kid like insisted on a bubble, BATH. Why am I spelling it out? He's in there. He insisted on a bubble bath. So I thought I was gonna harvest these seeds and I might as well jump on with you guys because I love you so much. And when I'm not with you, I miss you. I mean, little Elvis, I just said and commented, I like your recent YouTube short. Little Elvis, if you're still here, will you like comment on a post or a video of mine? Like I can't see the chat or click on the chat after I am done? That's something I need to figure out, Miss Carrie. I don't know if you could help me with that, but am I a complete dork? My chats aren't even available for me to click like upload the chat with the live stream when I'm done. Or am I like I looked for it? I can't find that in the settings. I know I should probably Google that. Hi, Amir, how are you? Thank you, Drops of Jupiter. I like your name. Is that from the train song? Sorry I didn't say hi to anybody that did say hi. I wasn't in the comments for a while. I have to like, stay on track because I'm thinking about the people that might be on the replay and I try to like really get through my notes or what I have to say is the subject of the video before I like talk to you guys. I hope you understand that. And I have a members only live scheduled for 9 tonight and I'm debating on whether or not to make chicken piccata because I feel like I need to redeem myself and I know I can make good chicken piccata, but then again I'm like, what if I mess it up? Again, I messed up marshmallow, steak, chocolate. It's like, don't watch me to learn how to cook. Let's just put it that way. Even though I have been cooking for a long time. Okay, I was working full time for 18 months. I've been at home for a few months though now. Like I should be able to cook by now. I've been cooking 5, 7 days, 2, 7 days a week since August. Like I don't know why I can't cook better. But that's the thing. Like it's like riding a bike, right? Like you might be a little rusty at first, but you get well, part of the mistakes I keep making is thinking I don't have to follow recipes. Oh, I know how to make chili. I don't have to follow a recipe. And then I totally botched like a whole, and of course it was like grass-fed, $8 a pound ground beef. And I am my name is Lydia Amir. Lydia. If you leave chat replay on after you leave this for later, you can click on their name in the chat replay and subscribe to them like you would if they commented on a post. Mr. Carey, the thing is, I don't know how to leave chat replay on. Is it something that I can do right now, or is it something I need to do in YouTube Studio? Oh, I can turn lighting on. Ooh, look at that. It took care of my under eyes a little. Oh, it's like barely a difference. It's really not that different, is it? Let's see what else I can do to myself. Retouch on. Whoa. Hold on. Retouch. Oh, I've done this before. Look at the thing on my nose. Everybody points. There's certain times everybody points out. You guys have seen that? It's like I don't know. It must be the lighting. Like I said, one week my scar started bleeding, and like everybody's like, "What's that on your nose? What's that on your nose? What's that on your nose? What's that on your nose?" I'm just gonna say that like what I was bringing up about the pretty privilege last night. That's like my whole point was like, um, it's not always a privilege. Like, you get a lot of shit with it, and I think if I was, like, a middle-aged man with my nose and with this thing on my nose, not so many people would be like, "What's on your nose? What's on your nose? What's on your nose?" Am I wrong? Does any if anybody disagrees with me, let me know, because I understand I have a chip on my shoulder about it. I really don't mind it. I think it's funny that that's, like, the only difference, right? That my under eyes look a little bit better. Retouch this is retouch on if you can't notice, and that's off. So anyways, we could sit here and airbrush ourselves all day long. Homer, dude, how are you doing today? It's supposed to let you have that option to leave live chat replay. Supposed to. I know, Mr. Carey. I just kept assuming at a certain point when I met a certain threshold of subscriber count or something that like I would be able to do it. I need to look better. You guys, I really am like blessed to have a YouTube channel. I think a lot of people that would be better with the technological aspect, would be doing better by now, but just hang in there with me. But yeah, there's always like this lull, before the springtime, I think, in a lot of people's lives. And like for me, now it's turning into like the most exciting part of the year, especially now that we can actually afford to do what I want to. And it's like cheaper than like everything else. It's cheaper here to garden. Like it's the compost, the topsoil, mulch, everything you need is like as cheap as it could possibly be. We got, I don't know how many tons it was, like this literal truckload of mulch delivered for $80. Like that's unheard of. We live 25 minutes away from the place, maybe even farther than that. And yeah, it once yeah, I know there's like a lot less opportunity, there's less jobs. There's a reason why the cost of living is cheaper here, but if you especially if you work from home, you can go to where they have high-speed internet. You need to make sure they have high-speed internet available in the part of Kentucky you're looking at. I really need to make a video or at least some posts because I am taking screenshots of some of these because I get every sold listing that's within our criteria on realtor.com. I believe that's like 10 acres or more and like under 200 or 100,000. I forget which one. But I just like I am watching the market bounce back to like more reasonable, and that makes me happy for everybody that like has been waiting for that. But this is like very, very cheap properties in Kentucky. A lot of them need some rehabbing, yes, but I've seen like, acreage with a home, most of the time it's a trailer, there's nothing wrong with that. Once again, there you don't I know some people make fun of people for driving Kias, but across the board, I feel like people look down more on, like, cheaper housing than they do cheap anything else. It's so silly to me. Especially if it's on a permanent foundation, it has a good roof, like, that's all you need with any structure you call a home, right? Good solid foundation, good roof. Our tiny home didn't have a permanent foundation, and it was pretty scary. A few of these windstorms we encountered, and nothing ever happened. I always thought, like, between the heavy iron wood stove and our heavy furniture. If you haven't seen my living room furniture, like our entertainment center is like 500 pounds. Anyways, greetings from Canada. I'm Ryan, 36, drops of Jupiter. Thank you for letting me know your name and where you're from. That's so cool, Ryan. It seems like all of my favorite political and other commentary channels are Canadian. I just love Miss Nisi Social. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. She does some of the best deep dives. Miss C Social is the name of her channel. Seriously, the best deep dives. She comes up with facts that like nobody else does. I'm talking about like the Charlie Kirk stuff, all sorts of stuff, and just like broader social topics. I love her so much. And then this guy that I've been watching Nick Fuentes through blasphemer. If you look up Nick Fuentes, you'll probably see he uploads daily. He uploads all of Nick Fuentes' stuff in like, reaction. I don't know why I put quotes like that. You know what I'm trying to say. He reacts to it. He does. Gosh, and I can't think of anybody else right now. I used to really like Lauren Chen before when she was independent. I watched Lauren Chen like back in like 2016. Thank you, Mr. Carey. I really appreciate how you're always on that. TWC, did I say hi to you? How are you doing? Hi, Holden. How are you? Beautiful, cozy painting. Stay warm. Oh, that's nice. Are you talking about this in my tapestry? I don't know if you're saying your painting or you're talking about my painting. Acid burn. I've been through 5 hurricanes in Florida. One time I had to go 7.5 weeks without electricity. Acid burn. I went through one and I was trying to look up the name. I don't think it was Katrina. I was trying to figure out because it was in 2005. And like, what hurricane hit Southeast Florida in 2005 that like we were without power for 2 weeks? We lived on the Intracoastal in Fort Lauderdale. The people across the Intracoastal from us got power on in like 2 days, but we were without power for like 2 weeks after, like right across the way from us, everybody's lights on. It was torture. Everything was out. Like I'll never forget like the whole like wine and water aisles at Public being like bare and waiting for hours to get gas. When the hurricane hit, we were sitting against the wall and we felt the building shift, which I know they're designed to do that. That's like actually a good thing in a lot of situations. But it was a two-story building built in like the 50s or something. And then, yeah, not having running water, not having food. I drove to Homestead, really precarious situation to get my substances like an idiot, ended up getting lost in Homestead, and like just so much creepy stuff happened then. If you don't know about Homestead, it's freaking weird. I'm sorry to anybody that it's not somewhere somebody should be going around where there's like devastating hurricane shit going around, just driving around. What else was I gonna say? I'm sorry. There's something else I wanted to say. Oh, and the people across the way from us in the Intercoastal, it just happened to be this guy that owned a strip club called the Booby Trap. And so he had his boat parked, like, docked outside of his house with the booby trap logo, which was like, booby had like two boobs and a bikini top, right? It was so funny. But I remember that's like ingrained in my memory, like looking across the way and seeing all that all lit up and being like enraged that he had power so long before we did. But I understand, that was devastating. There's this big, beautiful tree that came down. I mean, that thing had to have been at least 100, 200 years old. And the time that it took for them to cut that up, that really showed me, the efforts, like, talk about, like, hard men that work hard jobs, that do things that a lot of the rest of us can't, and, like, you really do when you go through shit like that, you really do appreciate those people in your community, and, you know, uh, Keith, how are you doing? As evil tries to enter our gazes, we just automatically and naturally adapt, improvise, and overcome to naturally detect, deflect, and disrupt any harmful intentions and actions more with every breath. That's nice. Mohammed, I don't wear perfume a lot because like a lot of perfume is bad for you. I already have hormonal imbalances, but my sister gave me some that's Nest brand. I don't know how much cleaner that is, but I really like it. It's like wisteria and like hibiscus and tulip. It's like um really natural. Hey Gary, how are you doing today? Drops of Jupiter, that's a sweet comment. You're pretty feminine, adorable, a diva type. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. That's really sweet. Mr. Larry, fancy meeting you here, old friend. Okay. Carrie, you meant Mr. Carey, not Larry. Okay, I thought I am not, I'm using my earbud as a mic. Fortico, do you have any? The sound is off, pitch is too high. Thank you for telling me that. Please use a phone mic instead of your AirPods. Let me test that out right now. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna like, where is my case? I'm sorry, give me one moment. It's right here. I want to see what you guys think because I've got back running, like 6 feet away from me. Is that any better? Does anybody? I appreciate the constructive criticism. Anybody think that this is better? And do you prefer this? Does the pitch sound better now? If you're still in here, Fortico. Hi KVK. I'm married, just so everybody knows. I don't like saying that every time somebody gives me a compliment, but it also doesn't feel right not to. So I don't mean to come off like everybody wants me, but I just um leave Lydia alone. Just enjoying seeing stars in her eyes, red, green, and gold. Okay. Oh, you're key. Stop it. It's worse. I figured it was worse because my edited videos sound much worse. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Members only live 9 p.m. I hope to see a lot of you guys there. And whatever we do, I don't have anything planned just yet, but I'll try to make it fun. I'll try to not be a Debbie Downer. Thank you so much, Mr. Carey. And Acid Burn, I hope to see you there tonight. KVK, okay. Anyway, you seem beautiful and pretty. Where are you from? I am from Kentucky, and I only intend on. I understand where you're coming from, Fortico. I do want to get an external mic, just like a lapel mic. I don't like having that thing in my ear all the time. I'm using it too much. So, um, he's we are having a change in schedule this week. Like every day is something different, and so he was having a bit of a rough day. So when he requested a bubble bath, even though it's not the time for it, I went ahead and caved and put him in there because he's having a rough time with these transitions. Part of being on the autism spectrum, you get in your routine, and when it changes, it's rough. But overall, we're doing well. But I do want to get a new mic just so everybody knows. Like, I'll have bells on if I'm a night owl tonight. Yeah, it does work out. It's good for now. I will use it tonight. Love you guys. Bye.